Elspeth here from Vegan News Daily, and today I'm going to show you how I make chickpea breadcrumbs. So first up, I have a can of chickpeas that I'm just going to open up. And I always like to hang on to the aquafaba. Aquafaba is the liquid that's inside the can of the chickpeas, because I can use the aquafaba for baking or for making my favorite chocolate souffle, vegan chocolate souffle. So I always hang on to this, and what I do is I just drain it all out into a jar, and I pop this jar in the refrigerator for when I want to use it again. I can also go ahead and pour this into ice cube trays and freeze it, because it does freeze just fine. So I'll just set that aside for now. So I have the chickpeas drained, and I'm just going to put them inside a food processor with the S blade inserted. And I do have my oven turned on to 375 degrees already. I'm going to quickly pulse this a couple of times. I just want to sort of get some crumbliness to the chickpeas. So they are broken up. Maybe I'll do it one more time here. But I don't want it to just be like a mushy paste. I'm not trying to make hummus here. I'm trying to make chickpea breadcrumbs. So I'll just take out the blade, and then I spread this mixture onto a baking sheet. You can either use a silicone baking mat, or you can use a parchment paper lined baking sheet. So I'll just take this crumbly chickpea mixture and just spread it out onto this baking mat into a sort of a thin, somewhat even, but it doesn't have to be too even, layer. So that's it. I've got my oven preheated, and I'm going to pop this into the oven for 15 minutes at 375 degrees. And then 15 minutes, we'll take it out and I'll show you what happens next. So the chickpeas have been roasting or baking for 15 minutes. So now I'm going to pull them out of the oven and show you what we do next. So they're just sort of a little bit dried out. There's still a lot of moisture in them. They're a little bit crumbly. So all I'm going to do now is I could either take this whole mixture and put it back into the food processor and just pulse it a few times and blend it back up, but it's so much easier just to take a spatula, and I'm just sort of turning it over and spreading it out again. So I'll just spread this out evenly, just so it has a nice amount of space to get nice and crisp and crunchy in this next step. And I'm going to pop it back into the oven for another 15 minutes. We'll check back on it in 15 minutes. So the chickpea breadcrumbs have been cooking for another 15 minutes, and the alarm is just going off. So I'm going to pull them out a moment and just show you what they look like. They're starting to get a little bit browned and super crispy. So all that I do now is I pop this back into the oven, and I'm going to turn off the heat, cut out the heat completely, and just let them sit in there until the oven cools down, and they're just going to dry out in the residual heat of the oven. So they'll stay in there probably for the next hour, and then once they've cooled, I take them out and I put them into a glass jar, which I can store in the refrigerator. So these are some that I'd made in advance, and you can see the breadcrumbs are just lovely and crumbly, and I can go ahead and use these breadcrumbs on a number of dishes. I have a baked mac no cheese, a mushroom rice casserole on stuffed mushrooms. You can make onion rings, whatever you want to do with breadcrumbs, you can do with these chickpea breadcrumbs. And they're fabulous. Just one ingredient, chickpeas. That's it for the chickpea breadcrumbs. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our fabulous recipes.